Yo yo, happy new decade. I mention books all the time on this channel, but I just wanted to make a bigger book recommendation video mentioning some of the books that I've liked, that I've read over the last 1.5 years that I haven't mentioned in previous videos. So let's just jump right into it. I love reading. Like, when people ask me what's your hobby, I wish I could say something like rock climbing or something more exciting, but I often say reading. Like, I read a lot. Anyways, the number one book recommendation for this video is going to be Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. I really like Joe Dispenza. This is one of his first books, and it's really good. It's all about, it's all about having a positive mindset. He talks about how our thoughts, emotions, intentions, and attitudes interact with the quantum field and impact things. And it's kind of like a bit law of attraction, but a lot more science to it and a lot more like grounded and centered. But it's all about, just meditation, visualization. He's big on visualization. And he's all big about just the importance of having positive thoughts, because when we're positive, we attract positive things to us. He has some amazing stories in the book where he talks about how some people who start meditating, doing visualizations, and start having a more positive mind improve or like cure health conditions. And he provides lots of science about this, which is why I like him. He adds lots of science to this book because it's kind of out there woo-woo stuff, But he talks about how when our mind is more positive and clear and less stressed, how that turns off unhealthy genes and turns on healthy genes. And he provides some like remarkable stories. But at the same time, he also provides, some stories about other things, like how someone visualized money and how a friend bought him a lottery ticket and it won. And it's like out of all the stories, like, I wish he didn't use that lottery story. Like, don't read this book and visualize money and buy a lottery ticket, because that's not going to work. So this was one of his earlier books. So I think it captures lots of like the excitement in his ideas, because he's definitely on to stuff. But at the same time, it's lots of really good stories, and every once in a while it's like, did he have but he wrote this book like 7 years ago, and I'm sure his message is a lot more like intelligent and grounded now. But I often enjoy like finding an author's like one of their first books, because they really capture their excitement. I've actually read one of his later books, and I liked this book better. Well, one big thing he talks about is when the importance of visualization, but also like to visualize what you want, like meditate, visualize what you want in life, and then experience how that feels now. Instead of needing external things to feel good, we could use our imagination and feel those feelings now, or feel as if that thing for sure is going to happen in the future, and then live that way. Live as if those desires that you have are going to come true. His message is very similar to faith. Have faith that these desires, these visualizations are going to come true, and then the act of having faith of them coming true helps them come true. He's like the positivity guru. After reading this book, I've been a lot happier and positive. I read it just a couple weeks ago, and I really like this book. So yeah, this is my number one pick for this video. My favorite book about sexuality is Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, but I actually asked, which I've recommended or talked about a ton on this channel, but I actually asked the author Marnia Robinson of Cupid's Poisoned Arrow a while back what are some other books that she recommends that are kind of similar to hers. And she recommended me the books of Diana and Michael Richardson. And Diana and Michael Richardson are a couple who have taught like sex retreats and workshops for like 20 years or something. And the I've read two of their books. The first one is The Heart of Tantric Sex. Excellent book. And for women, I would recommend reading that book first. And the second book is Tantric Sex for Men, Making Love and Meditation. And for men, I would recommend them reading that book first. But if that book's not available, whatever, The Heart of Tantric Sex is for both genders. So they're both excellent. Highly recommend them both. And for women even to check out the book about men could be really great too. But it's all about, and I think lots of people maybe get caught up in Tantra. They think it's kind of this weird thing. But their message in the book is, rather than doing like performance-based sex and be always worried about your performance, they say the best sex happens when you slow down, when you relax, when you become present, when you stare into each other's eyes. Sex is such a big part of life, and to take 3 hours of your time to read what these people who have been helping people have better sex for like 20 years, I think is a really valuable thing. And they talk about some cool things. For example, if they talk about how if a guy can't get an erection, there's a way to have sex where you do what's called soft entry, and you enter the woman not erect, and then it grows, the erection grows in the woman, and it's worth reading to how to be a better lover. And this whole book is about how to recreate the magic of sex and be the best lover that you can be. So highly recommend it. The third book I'd like to recommend in this video is The Slight Edge. I've recommended this book in the past, and I just felt like mentioning it again because it's such an awesome book. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It's probably my favorite just personal development book. The fourth book I'm going to recommend is Proof of Heaven. This book was written by a brain surgeon who had a near-death experience, and he had this amazing near-death experience trip, and he writes about that experience and his insight and journey afterwards, and it's just a really beautiful, positive, uplifting book. And it's not necessarily like it's kind of a Christian book, but it's whatever your faith is, or even if you're an atheist, it's a book for everyone about, is there an afterlife, what his experiences are with his near-death experience, and it's a really beautiful, positive, uplifting book. Someone I Skype with recommended to me, and a very beautiful, positive book. The next book I'm going to recommend is Beyond Belief by Elaine Pagels. This book explores like the early history of Christianity, and it talks about how I believe it was Constantine around like 600 AD like decided what books should be in the Bible and what books should be displaced from the Bible, and how like the early Christian church had lots of issues about the Bible and the future of Christianity, and that shaped a lot of Christianity today. And I think 99% of Christians don't know the history of the church, and that's just sad. And this book talks about the Gospel of Thomas, which was a gospel that's not included in the Bible, and it's more of it's a perspective on Christianity that's more holistic, and it's the one book that's not included in the Bible because early people in the church wanted to kind of control people, so they maybe did some mistranslations of the Bible and chose which books they wanted, so if you're interested in kind of the history of the church and a more holistic Gnostic perspective on Christianity, Beyond Belief is an excellent read. The Gospel of Thomas and these kind of hidden Gnostic Gospels are really interesting. I think it's a more true message of Jesus's actual message in these kind of like hidden Gospels. The next book I like to recommend is Crude World. A viewer of mine messaged me, and she recommended me this book, and it's all about oil, and it's a really sobering read about how the quest for conquering oil all around the world, whether what the Saudi Arabians are doing or what's happened to African countries who they had oil and other countries came in and like took their oil, and like I think it's maybe the best history book that I've ever read, because I'm in my car right now, we fuel our car with gasoline, and the world runs on oil, and I don't think lots of people are in touch with just how messed up the world's conquest for oil has been. And it's a great history book. I learned more from reading this book than like this book from any history classes I took in school. It's just a great read to learn about how the world has reacted to oil. And it talks about some interesting things. Yeah, African countries, I think some South American countries, and even countries that have tons of oil, how they're not good countries to live in. Like oil isn't necessarily a good thing for a country. Really interesting read. The next book I'm gonna mention is The Autobiography of Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I love this book. I've mentioned it before in a video, but I actually took that video down. I've read this book like 2 times. It's about this Indian yogi who moves to America, and he has lots of really great insights. He kind of combines Hinduism, Buddhism, and Christianity, and he has lots of great insights. And this book is sharing his stories and insights. But I honestly think like he shares all these mystical stories in the book and all these amazing things, and it's a really fun read. But I honestly think he makes up like half the stories in the book. I think he's kind of this yogi rascal, but like, and he just makes up these mystical stories. I believe in mystical experience and spiritual experiences, but this guy, I think he's kind of just a rascal. Steve Jobs actually, when Steve Jobs died, like he gave everyone a copy of this book at his funeral. This is one of Steve Jobs' favorite book. It's a really empowering, fun, and insightful read. Lots of great thoughts about spirituality and reality in it. It's a fun read, but you know, don't take the book too seriously, because I think the author just made up lots of the stories. The next book is The Body Keeps the Score. This is a book about psychology and trauma. My mom is a therapist, and she recommended me this book just because it's a really good book on psychology and trauma. And yeah, if you're interested in that type of stuff, like this is one of the best latest psychology books just about psychology treatment and how trauma gets into our like body, and it's lots of great psychological insights in this book. The next book I want to mention is The Courage to Be Disliked. One of my viewers recommended it to me. It's lower on this list because there are some things in the book I disagreed with. Like he kind of, the book is about Adlerian psychology, and one part of Adlerian psychology is like completely disregarding the past and only focusing on the future. And I think overall, you know, it's a really good message to focus on the future and the positive and not be too caught up in the past. But like the message is almost like a slap in the face for people who have trauma, and I think there is value in looking at our past and analyzing our past, and so I don't quite agree with some of the messages in this book, The Courage to Be Disliked. But at the same time, there's also some really, really good insights in this book, and it's such a unique perspective on psychology. I did have some like aha moments from reading this book, and I really enjoyed it. It was thought-provoking. It's just about being happy in the present and being goal-oriented, and how most problems are actually social problems, and how lots of people, they actually, whatever the problem is, they actually make an excuse about something else. You know, he has some interesting psychological insights, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't agree with everything, but I got some great wisdom and insights from this book, and I recommend it. Definitely some gems in this type of thinking. And the last book I'll mention is The Magic by Rhonda Byrnes or something like that. And one of my viewers recommended me this book. It's the book is all about gratitude and the importance of gratitude and like law of attraction stuff. And when we're grateful, more things kind of come to us. And I believe in that. The book is a little cheesy. It's written by the author who wrote The Secret, so it's it's a little. I kind of enjoy sometimes you know, those types of reads. And it's just a nice, positive, uplifting book, and it's good to tap into the importance of gratitude and, you know, stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, don't take, like, gratitude is just one piece of a puzzle to living a good life, and the book is a little cheesy, and it's like gratitude is everything, and it's just one piece of the puzzle, and it's a little woo-woo, you know. But I enjoyed the read. By the way, I'm going to put links to these books below, and just full disclaimer, I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you buy through one of those links below, I get a little bit of Amazon's profit. If you buy from the link below, it's at the same cost to you as if you bought it just straight, went to Amazon.com and found the book yourself. But instead of Amazon getting all the profit, I get a tiny bit. So if you buy a book from the link below, I get like 25 cents. So I'd appreciate it. You know, just a small way you could support me. I read some books on Kindle, some books on audiobooks, some books paperback. I kind of rotate around, but I really think reading is one of the best habits I've developed. I really enjoy reading. I often read 20-30 minutes a day, sometimes an hour, sometimes like 2 hours. But on average, I read like 30 minutes a day, and it's something I really encourage all of you to do. I hope maybe one of these books connects with you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, check out my other videos, and I'm wishing all of you who have made it this far that you have an awesome decade ahead. Thanks for watching. Happy reading. A huge thank you to my Patreons as always, and peace out.